everybody. Today we're working on the 1981 Camaro. Hello everybody. Just wanted to post this video. I'm sorry it doesn't fill your whole screen. Originally when I shot the video I intended it to be a short, and it ended up going longer, and there's some stuff in here I thought some people might find a value that they might be able to get out of it. So with that, I hope you enjoy what I have for you. I was just working at doing a little bit of seam sealing up around the cowl area here. It's something that I figured while everything was off, I might as well redo because it's pretty brittle. Let me get you in on this and show you. First off, let's keep our flammables away from us. So I'm going to set those behind me. But one of the things that I like doing is first I'll heat up the area that I'm going to be working on a little bit. And typically that helps the stuff to come off a little bit easier. Also, when I'm doing this, I typically use a plastic, or it's actually a Lexan. It's a piece of Lexan scraper, so it's less damaging to the finish on the car. Even though I'm repainting it, I still want it to be nice. So I'm just gonna clean a little more of this off. Alright, and I'm just going to do this little area here real quick. It doesn't take much. Give it a good wipe down here. That looks pretty good. Let's see here. All right, let's see. That looks pretty. Let's try. All right, now so when you get it hot like that, this stuff comes off like butter. Always work in a well-ventilated area. I'll be right back. I'm going to get some gloves on to do this other part here. Heat this up one more time here, just to make the wipe down easier. PPE is extremely important. I ended up getting this can after having an accident, and I wish I would have had it sooner. So basically what happened to me was my dad was cleaning up underneath the car while I was doing some welding, and we had an open garbage can that he was throwing all the rags in. And I had my welding helmet down, so I wasn't aware of my environment around me. And he walked out to take a phone call quick. And the next thing I know, it was getting pretty warm under my arm. And I thought maybe I had started a fire on the car. And no, that's not what it was. A spark had gone down into the garbage can that had all the paint thinner rags in them and started a fire. And had I not had my welding jacket on and my gloves and everything, I would have gotten burned pretty bad, because my first reaction was to get the can out of the garage, and my gloves kept me protected from that, because as I threw it outside, the handle actually melted off in my hand. And but I was able to get the fire out. Nobody was hurt, and that's what matters. But yeah, PPE is very important. And I would say if you're doing anything with flammables, to have some sort of sealed safety can like I just showed you. All right, let's see how we did here. So got all the way down, and I don't know if you can see, but we got underneath here too. Come on, focus. There we go. So that's all cleaned up, and we're ready on this side for the sealer. But before I get that far, I want to get the cowl finished up here. This is not cleaned up. It's only been scraped out. I'm going to get that done, and then I'm going to come back to you guys, and I'm going to show you what I'm using for seam sealer on this car. This was already scraped off once, so I'm just getting off any more bigger goobers before I get to cleaning it with the lacquer thinner, or paint thinner, mineral spirits, whatever you want to call them. Put that down here. I know I said earlier I don't like using things that are abrasive, but in that case it was necessary. There was some pretty hard stuff in there. Alright, let's get the other side. Oh, can't forget the magic juice. Oh yeah. Alright, I think we are just about ready to get our seam sealer on here. So the seam sealer I use is made by Evercoat. It's a brushable seam sealer. It tends to be a bit pricey, but the way this stuff goes on and the way it sets, I really, really like it. It is paintable. But yeah, let me show you that here. So here's the seam sealer that I use. It tends to work really good. I use it on the underside of the car. To do all the seams on this car underneath, it took me roughly 2 cans. Typically, a can of this is right around $60 right now. But like I said, it's well worth it. And what I use to apply the seam sealer is just a basic acid brush. One of the biggest things to keep in mind when you're applying the seam sealer is to make sure that you have some rubber gloves on, because no matter how careful you are, this stuff will get on your hands. and I've already had it where I was using it on the brush, and I literally couldn't separate my fingers from the brush. Now I had gloves on, but basically that brush came off with the gloves and it all went in the garbage as one piece. It set while I was painting the stuff on the car. One other little thing I'm going to do that I like doing when I prep surfaces for this stuff is I rub it down with a little IPA. That'll help to get off any other oils or anything that would stop the seam sealer from wanting to really adhere to the surface. All right, so here we go for our seam sealer. Mix it up a little bit. Get a dab on our brush. Getting in our seams here. Keep in mind, it doesn't take a ton of seam sealer to do the job. I mean, there are some spots under the car I noticed where you really goop it in. But like for stuff like this, it's not that bad. It's some pretty good stuff. It gets where you want it to, and I probably filled this crack in a little bit more just because of how much of a groove there is. But that's where it's nice being able to brush it in. You can judge more of what you're doing as you're doing it. All right, let's go on the other side here. Let's get in on that top color there. That turned out beautifully. I really like that seam sealer. It's easy to use. You can still give it that factory look because you're brushing it on. All right, get this done here. The factory actually had a really big blob up under here. I'm gonna just come over that. I'm not gonna put a big blob because there's really not a seam there to cover. All right, let's see if I can get this done quickly for you. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm getting this edge because that's actually where the seam is. The seam rolls in here, especially down here where it starts to flare. But I want to make sure I cover all that seam because that's a spot I don't want moisture. Let's go to the other side. All right, last section that I'm going to do here today. Get that seam in there. It is okay to go over bare metal with this. I mean, it's going to completely seal it. And it's not something that lets moisture in. There we have it. A little bit at a time, boys. That's what we do. We get her done. Now I will be seam sealing the rust. I'll probably do that off camera unless you guys really want to see it. I can record it. Just, I guess, leave a comment. Let me know. Maybe I'll make a full video out of it. But I think it turned out pretty good. Let's see what we did here. All right. Well, it looks like the seam sealing that we did here today turned out fantastic. Until next time, keep on wrenching.